Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Today's guests, including Ian Furness, standing by, brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Enjoy no-hassle 3-day returns and 30-day exchanges on all used vehicles, so you can make sure what you get is just right for you. Don't just love your car, love buying it at langleychrysler.com. Ryan, you okay?
I think I've recovered.
It looked like you were going to leave us there for a second.
Yeah, I think I've recovered.
Not leave us entirely,
No.
but the show.
No, I think I've recovered.
Man, I'm telling you, you brought up this subject of what was your first autograph.
Yeah.
Mine was Al Davidson. Yours was, again?
Louis Pasaglia and Joe
Pasaglia.
Paopao.
Okay,
the
again.
throwing Samoan.
But we've had people talk about Jack Wells, Cactus Jack Wells. Remember him? Broadcaster on the prairies, John Wells'
Oh, yes,
dad.
his dad.
Another person said Louis, Brian Orser, Andy Moog, Joe Kapp at Confederation Park. That was from Doug and Salmon Arm. Big Country.
Cam says Bobby Hall in Victoria.
Yep. Paul Tracy. I imagine there's some kids in Seattle. Their first autograph.
Ian Furness,
KJR Sports Radio. How are you, sir?
Gentlemen, how are you, man? My apologies. First of all, one of these days I'm going to get the lighting correct here. I just noticed that. It's my apologies. We're renovating our radio studios, and so and we're all over the place right now. It was supposed to be done in October.
I was just going to say, you've never looked better yet.
Isn't that nice? Hey, let me correct you guys on something. The throwing Samoan is Jack Thompson.
Jack
Thompson is the throwing Samoan. I don't know what CFL nonsense. Come on.
Around these neck of the woods, my good pal Joe Paopao throwing Samoan, number 6.
Jack Thompson, near and dear to your heart, WSU went on to become a Bengal. Have I got that right?
That's correct, and he's in the College Football Hall of Fame, the real one, the College Football Hall of Fame. Yeah, you do not ever disrespect the throwing Samoan by throwing out that to somebody else, my friend.
Never again. Never again. We'll do it behind your back.
I mean, you can disrespect Pedersen all you want. I saw the start of your show the other day. I mean, do that, but not throwing Samoan, man.
Okay.
Not the throwing.
Okay.
All right.
We stand corrected.
Thank you.
Canucks game against Ottawa is postponed Saturday here in Vancouver. It's not official, but it's going to happen. We're going to find out the reasons why, or the reason why, in a matter of moments. What's the COVID situation like there in Seattle? And for people who don't know, both from an athletic and just an everyday life point of view.
Well, I mean, Kraken have played a couple of games in the last month, it seems like. Obviously, they played last week against Vancouver. They've had 3 games canceled this week, Tuesday, Thursday, and tomorrow. They're supposed to play in Colorado on Monday. They've got some guys still in protocol. So from that standpoint, it's hard. Seattle, the Seahawks have a couple key guys in COVID protocol. The NFL works a little different. You can get guys out fairly quick if they're vaccinated and they come back with a negative test. So, really kind of with the NFL, we just wait. I mean, it literally is every day. Guys on, guys off, wait and see until Sunday. In just terms of our community, and I think that's what, frankly, all of us in all seriousness kind of care about. It's tough. I mean, we've got a rise in cases here. Hospitalizations and death rates aren't nearly what they were a year ago. I hate to downplay it, but the reality is with the Omicron, at least in our country, in our state, there are more cases, but they are not severe. If you're vaccinated, it's more like a cold. My producer's out right now with it. He's got, but we thought actually he just tested negative. I shouldn't say that. We thought he had it, but he actually has a common cold, which still exists. It's odd. But for the most part, our governor, Jay Inslee, came out today, and we've been very Canada-like in Washington. And we've been very, shut down, slow things down, be very conservative in that regard. But Governor Inslee came out the other day, and I think he finally said, listen, man, we can't protect those who don't want to be protected. It's time to move on. It's time to just keep going. And I think that's where we're at. The hospitalization rates, are low comparatively speaking. So, here we are. I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to try to work through this, although I know you guys have some differing opinions north of the border.
Ian, well said. Seahawks complete their season Sunday in Arizona. Out of the playoffs, what's Pete Carroll looking for on Sunday?
Well, it's funny you asked that because, Donnie, we were going to ask that question today. He speaks at 150, and I think that's I'm on the air, but I put the question in already for that to be asked because that's exactly what I want to know. I mean, do you go into this, the always compete stuff and all of that? I understand what they're thinking. And Arizona, there's an integrity of the game. Arizona, if LA loses, is playing for the division title. They're already in the playoffs. But I think if you're Seattle, you've got to get a look at some guys. I'm assuming Jake Curran still plays at right tackle. I think Phil Haynes is still at left guard. I'd like to see somebody besides Ethan Posick, maybe Dakota Shepley at center. I mean, I think that you need to look. Cody Barton will probably play the Mike linebacker, even though Bobby Wagner's hopeful to play. I don't know why you would play Bobby Wagner in this game. He's got a sprained knee. It's sore. He thinks he might be able to go. Why? Play Cody Barton. See what you have in 57 and see what he can do. But and part of the reality, too, guys, is at this point in the season, you just don't have a lot of bodies sometimes. In the NFL with a 53-man roster, it's not like college where you've got 105 guys. So, but I would hope we'll still see some young guys on Sunday.
Ian, the Brian Red Hamilton story exploded in Seattle on Saturday. Nadia Popovici. How big was it in Seattle? Because they went right across North America. Just go back to that day and how that story developed in Seattle.
I'd say it was big-ish. The timing was kind of bad for it to be a huge story here. It happens on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
Huge day for college football. The Kraken are playing, yes, but frankly, no one's paying attention because it's the college, it's the Rose Bowl that day, and even though it's not part of the football playoffs, it's just that's kind of who and what we are in the States. By the time we got to Monday, it got to play in the newspaper and so forth, and others kind of talked about it. But it got play. I think. I'll be honest with you. I think it got more play nationally and probably certainly in your market than it did here in Seattle. Great story though. How crazy. What if he was not wearing what if he had a higher collar?
Turtleneck. He could have had a turtleneck on that day.
Yeah,
right?
It's just what a fortunate set of circumstances in an unfortunate way.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the Kraken. 5 straight losses, 2-6 and 2 past 10. Here's what I like about this team. 92 goals for is pretty impressive, but the 122 against obviously is one of the worst in the league. Philip Grubauer, I really thought, Ian, he'd be a whole lot better than he has been.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk this week, Rick, about, Greg Wyshynski, ESPN.com, Puck Daddy back in the day, right? He had an interview with Ron Francis this week, kind of a Q&A that got a lot of play, and I think it goes back to the Athletic. A guy from the Athletic back east had a tweet last week about how maybe Seattle went too far in on the analytics, and is it time we call them out for that? I think there's a couple things in play here. First of all, the 28 goals against that are, the unexpected, the expected goals against, that they've given up. Basically saying they've given up about a goal a game more than they should have this year, expected saves. That's a ton. What is that? Let's say, just for argument's sake, that's 6-8 points, right? You're kind of back in it. You're kind of back in a little bit of a race, and instead you have a 0.7% chance to make the postseason. They have this crazy tendency, and I know there's a stat out there. I don't have it in front of me, but there is a number out there where they give up goals after they score at a higher rate than anybody in the NHL. So they score, and then boom, and if anybody watched the Calgary game a couple weeks ago, it happened twice in that game. And so they have a tendency to, I don't know if it's relax after they score or what have you. They do have this. If they make a mistake in their own end or at the blue line, if they get caught in the neutral zone, it feels like almost always it's in the back of the net because Grubauer has not been there to bail them out. And Drieger, frankly, hasn't been good either. Neither goaltender has been good. And they paid, let's go back. When they got Drieger in the expansion draft, remember, he was a free agent. So they had to sign him as a free agent. They paid him at least 1A money. Yeah. And then they go out and get Grubauer. I think it's okay, and I think it's justified for Francis to get criticism, not just for those 2 picks because of how they've performed, put all your eggs in that basket, but also just how the expansion draft took place. They left a lot of guys on the table. I know hindsight's 20/20, but my biggest thing with them, guys, is this, and I think we've talked about this before. They have an opportunity to just take over the market. The Seahawks are having a down year. Husky football, Husky basketball is awful. There's no NBA yet. The Mariners are who they are, and we know who they are. You've got this opportunity not just to have, hey, we're a new team, it's exciting, but to get people invested in a good product. It's not a good product. and it's not a good hockey team right now. It's one of the worst hockey teams in the league. And I think his other big mistake was this. During the expansion draft, and even during the draft, but during the expansion draft, they did not accumulate a number of draft picks. I figured they'd come out of that draft with 10, 11, 12 guys, and they didn't. They didn't do anything in that regard. They got Beniers number 2. He probably will play here next year as a number 2 or 3 centerman. But Riker Evans, I like the kid. I like the player. Riker Evans, defenseman in the WHL. Yeah. He's 2 years away, guys, at least.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, they just did they took this. Here's the thing. They took a long, slow play at building this thing up. You can afford to do that if you don't have other competition. This market will have an NBA team very soon, probably within 3 years.
Wow.
And and you don't want to turn into the MLS team where it's a niche audience and that's all you have is your hockey fans and you don't have a broader base. And that's what worries me. And that's where I think they made a big mistake by being, I guess, if it sounds weird, but by being patient, they made a mistake, I think.
Safe. Yep.
Ian, safe's a good way, yeah.
Ian. Crimea River, a long, slow play. Try 50-plus years.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
Donnie, we know slow play and patience or lack thereof. We have a Major League Baseball team that's never been to the World Series, man. You guys at least been to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yep, that's a good point.
Let's talk Super Bowl, though.
You haven't won, but, I mean, you've been there. I mean, I don't know if listen, what happened in 2011 and losing the way you guys did is awful. I'd still take that over never being at the World Series, minus the city issues afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, we've never been to the damn World Series.
4 playoff appearances. Yep. Nope. I agree. Yep.
They had Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Randy Johnson, Edgar Martinez. Go through the list of dudes, man. Come on.
Pat Gillick. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, Pat Gillick.
Well, he put it. Yeah, I mean, he did. I mean, you go back.
Actually, you know what he did?
He went for the Jays.
He went initially all in on the quick play and try to win now at the expense of the farm system. Destroyed the farm system.
But he got you to the ALCS. Yeah.
But he didn't make the moves that year to get to the World Series. But that might have been ownership, not him.
You always talk about me extending segments, Dolly. Well, you want to talk about Pat Gillick with Ian here.
No, but Ian's all fired up. He just like Button the other day. He's going to come out of the television.
Yeah.
So calm. I was nice and mellow. I wanted to finish off by congratulating Big Rye on the upcoming situation there and losing his man room or whatever the hell he's losing. So man good. Yeah. We're finally going to have a real birthdays, one that matters. I mean, this is awesome,
But at least we can see Ryan, so there is that.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Ian. Thanks a lot. All the best next week.
See you, boys. Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. Ian Furness from KJR Sports Radio and
guy.
Fox 13
Good guy.
Sports.